They said, you know, do you want the job of Doctor Strange too? And I said, love that job, thank you. I said, but the thing is, I'm gonna need...
Few directors in Hollywood have walked the line between horror, humor, and heart as masterfully as Sam Raimi. From the gritty insanity of The Evil Dead to the emotional depth of Spider-Man 2,
I'd like to go into his high school life and his relationships with...
Raimi built a reputation as a filmmaker who could blend outrageous spectacle with genuine soul. Yet for decades, he rarely spoke about the movies that shaped him, the films that inspired his wild camera moves, his dark humor.
I said, the technology does not exist, Johnny. He said, you're right, it doesn't exist, but if we start now...
And his love for flawed heroes. But now at 65, Sam Raimi finally opened up. In a rare moment of reflection, he revealed the 7 films that molded his creative vision, the ones that taught him what cinema could be: daring, dangerous, and deeply human.
Let me start over. I wrote a sequel. I've got the outline for it, but whether it's ever made into a movie would depend on whether Evil Dead makes money.
1. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Raimi has often called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre one of the most terrifying and influential films ever made. Directed by Tobe Hooper, it redefined horror with its gritty realism and relentless tension. When Raimi saw it as a young filmmaker, he realized that horror didn't need huge budgets or big stars.
I love Flash Thompson. Yeah, the drama of the difficulty of going through high school.
It just needed nerve. He was captivated by how the film's low-budget intensity made it feel real, almost documentary-like. Raimi once said, "The Texas Chainsaw Massacre made me believe you could pick up a camera, find some friends, and scare the world." That spirit became the foundation of The Evil Dead, his own low-budget masterpiece that followed a similar formula. Raw, relentless, and unforgettable. The chaotic camera work, claustrophobic atmosphere, and bursts of twisted humor in Evil Dead all carry the DNA of Hooper's savage vision. 2. The Exorcist, 1973. No horror fan escapes the shadow of The Exorcist, and Raimi was no exception. William Friedkin's tale of possession and faith left him shaken and inspired. Raimi admired Friedkin's ability to ground the supernatural in realism. The film's slow build, psychological tension, and unflinching performances showed him that true horror wasn't about monsters. It was about belief, guilt, and human fear. In interviews, Raimi has said that The Exorcist taught him the power of atmosphere.
Might be best to have a man of experience, maybe someone who spent time on foreign missions.
How silence, shadows, and suggestion can be more frightening than blood. It influenced how he built tension in The Evil Dead, and even in his superhero work. That sense of creeping dread.
Series, each one years later gets a following, but we kind of knew that
of something ancient and unseen watching from the dark would become one of Raimi's trademarks. 3. Psycho, 1960. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho was another cornerstone of Raimi's cinematic education. He has often cited Hitchcock as the director who taught him about control.
We're all in our private traps, clamped in them, and none of us can ever get out. We scratch and claw, but...
The manipulation of audience emotion through camera movement and editing. Raimi loved how Hitchcock could shift tone in an instant, from calm to chaos, from humor to horror, a rhythm that would define Raimi's own work.
I think only birds look well stuffed because they're kind of passive to begin with.
The infamous shower scene in Psycho fascinated him. The camera angles, the pacing, the illusion of violence more than the act itself.
everything that he did. And that's, I think, why the film is so effective.
Raimi would later use similar techniques in Evil Dead 2 and Drag Me to Hell, where terror and comedy coexist in shocking harmony. He once said, "Hitchcock played the audience like a piano. I tried to play them like an electric guitar 4. The Wizard of Oz, 1939. Though known for horror, Raimi has a deep love for fantasy and imagination, and The Wizard of Oz was his childhood revelation.
It's an oil can.
Oil can what?
Here it is. Where do you want to be off first?
Said his mouth.
As a young boy in Michigan, he watched Dorothy step from sepia into color and felt like he just witnessed magic itself. The blend of wonder, danger, and whimsy stayed with him forever. He often said that the Wizard of Oz taught him that tone could shift from terror to joy, that a story could be both frightening and uplifting. That lesson shaped his Spider-Man trilogy, where dark villains and emotional stakes coexist with humor and hope. Decades later, Raimi paid tribute to this childhood favorite directly when he directed Oz the Great and Powerful.
The head of the team is my old friend, Kevin Feige, who really cares about the integrity of the characters, and therefore it's a real pleasure to work for him.
2013, a prequel that let him step fully into the world that first made him fall in love with cinema. 5. The Night of the Living Dead, 1968, George A. Romero's The Night of the Living Dead was another major influence. Not just artistically, but philosophically. Raimi admired Romero's ability to make a cultural statement under the guise of horror. He loved how the film turned a simple zombie story into a reflection of fear, paranoia, and social collapse.
Shouldn't be reviewing it then, because if you've only seen 5 minutes, you don't know what the film's about. Give the filmmaker a chance, because it's so difficult. Well, I don't want to get into a sob story, but
Romero showed us that horror could have brains, Raimi once said with a grin. The Evil Dead series owes a clear debt to Romero's creation. The idea of an isolated group of survivors trapped by an unrelenting evil, and the sense of hopeless chaos, came directly from Night of the Living Dead. But where Romero's horror was bleak,
But I know that there are at least 2 or 3 deleted scenes that will be included. I don't know the full extent of them, though.
Raimi added a wicked sense of humor. As he put it, I wanted to make audiences scream, but also laugh at how scared they were. 6. Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. Raimi's cinematic taste isn't all blood and shadows. He has often spoken about his admiration for Lawrence of Arabia and the artistry of David Lean.
And get a response from the audience and see where it's slow and where it doesn't work and where your ideas.
For him, Lawrence of Arabia represented the grandeur of cinema, its ability to transport audiences to another world. The sweeping desert vistas, epic scale, and human drama reminded him that film could be both intimate and monumental. While Evil Dead was shot in cramped cabins, Raimi always dreamed of the camera freedom Lean displayed. Long takes, dynamic angles, and visual poetry. You can see that ambition in Spider-Man 2, especially in the train fight sequence, where action unfolds with operatic precision. Raimi once said, "Lean painted with light and sand. I wanted to paint with blood and shadows 7. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Of all the films Raimi named, It's a Wonderful Life might seem the most surprising, but it's also the most revealing. Frank Capra's tale of redemption and human connection deeply moved him.
If he had made certain choices in our world, he would have been those people.
Raimi has said that beneath his horror and fantasy, he's always been a storyteller about morality, about people wrestling with guilt, temptation, and the choice between good and evil. He admired how Capra could make the ordinary feel extraordinary, how the film's optimism never felt fake. Capra believed people could be good, Raimi once said. That's what I try to believe too, even when I fill the screen with demons. That sentiment shines through in Spider-Man 2, where Peter Parker's struggles echo George Bailey's. Both men burdened by duty, both discovering that selflessness is the real measure of a hero. When Sam Raimi finally revealed his 7 favorite films, it wasn't just a list, it was a confession. Each movie represented a different facet of his artistic soul.
I need 10 animators. And they're going, why is this in the budget? What do you mean you need 10 animators? This is a superhero picture. It's not an animated movie. I said, it is kind of an animated movie.
The fearlessness of Texas Chain, Saw Massacre, the spirituality of The Exorcist, the precision of Psycho, the wonder of The Wizard of Oz, the rebellion of Night of the Living Dead, the grandeur of Lawrence of Arabia, and the heart of It's a Wonderful Life.
What in these new movies or the show make you go like, oh my, I cannot believe...
Together, they form the DNA of Raimi's filmmaking, a fusion of terror and tenderness, spectacle and sincerity.